How's it going, guys? It is now the first day of October, and I am pretty excited. Despite, what's been going on with me, with my dad passing away and everything, and all that's been going on with me, in my life right now. I'm trying to get, everything settled in the house. I still am excited for this month, and I'm going to try and enjoy it as much as I can. Of course, I won't be able to enjoy it as much as I'm used to, but I'm still going to try and get as much joy out of this month as I can. And this is, like I said, the first day of October. It's the time of horror movies and fear, as well as candy, and the changing leaves are changing colors, and just all the great things that happen in the fall time. It is now finally here, and I am excited and optimistic about this time of the year. And as a great way of kicking start October, I thought I would do my new ranking video. As you guys know, months ago I was re-ranking some series that I had already ranked before, and I did one for Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. And today I am doing a ranking video for my favorite horror franchise, Halloween. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as you guys know, Halloween is my favorite franchise. And before I get started, I want to say that I love every Halloween movie. So even though I may rank one of them higher than the other one, I still love each one for its own reasons, and I enjoy them all for their own reasons. So this is not necessarily a video of me saying, this is the last movie I'm putting on this list because I hate it and all the other ones are better. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like the last, my last, pick will be the one that I like the least out of all of them. I'm not saying anything terrible about them. I don't think that there's any of the Halloween movies that are terrible, except for maybe Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And just to let everyone know, I'm only talking about the original 8 films in the franchise. I'm not talking about Rob Zombie's films. Although I do enjoy Rob Zombie's Halloween for what it is, and I think everybody knows, how I feel and how everybody else seems to feel about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I'm only talking about the original 8 films in the franchise. So without further ado, let's go and get started. And the first one that I'm going to pick, which is my least favorite, it's always been one that I've never really gotten into. And I'll give some reasons as to why I chose this one to be my least favorite. But in my opinion, my least favorite Halloween movie is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, I noted that there are a lot of people that dislike this movie, and then there are a lot of people that love it and say it's very underrated in the franchise. So first I'll go ahead and talk a bit about what I enjoy about it. Now, first and foremost, the performances are great in it, especially from, Danielle Harris. Even though she's pretty much mute throughout most of the movie, and she really does not have, a whole lot of lines throughout the first half of the movie, she still is great in her facial expressions. Like at one point when she's in the hospital and she's screaming and she's not making any noise. I think that's great. And of course, Donald Pleasance is amazing in this movie as Dr. Loomis. He has some of his best parts in this movie. He does get a bit, aggravated and angry in some of the scenes, but, you can really tell his frustration in trying to find Michael and trying to finally, capture him, because he's, pretty much Michael has, had the entire town go through hell, and all Dr. Loomis is trying to do is save this little girl and protect her. And I also like some of the other shout-outs to the previous film. Like, one of the best shout-outs, I think, in this movie is when Danielle Harris is waiting for Michael to come to the house, and she's sitting at the desk that, Judith Myers sat in when Michael killed her at the beginning of the first movie, and Danielle Harris is combing her hair. I really like that, sort of a that shout out to the first film. So there are some great moments in this movie that I really do enjoy. I've also heard from a lot of people that they say that this is one of the creepiest movies in the franchise, and I agree. I think it's a pretty creepy film. Unfortunately, the good things about it, for me, I say are kind of are kind of few, and there are a lot of things about this movie I don't like. I'm not going to go into a whole lot about what I don't like, but I'll give a few things. First and foremost, I don't like the way the house looks in the movie. You know, it's got like the spiral. It's got like the big, what do you call it? I forget, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, but I'm just not a fan of the look of the house. Also, the major thing about the film that everybody talks about is the way the mask looks. I'm not a fan of how the mask looks. I don't like the neck part of it. You know, I think that they did the, I don't know, it's just, everything about the mask just bugs me. I'm not a fan of the mask from 5. And I think that's a big, the thing about Halloween movies is you're looking at Michael's mask. That's the iconic image. So if you do that wrong, then it kind of takes away a lot of your film. And I think that that's one thing about Halloween 5 that, you know, takes away, you know, it just takes away. Another thing is I don't like the Tina character. I know a lot of people say that she's like comic relief, but I've never liked her. I found her annoying in some parts. I also hate the scene when Jamie, you know, she finally speaks for the first time in I forget how long, over a year, or, you know, since the events of Halloween 4, you know, she speaks and she talks to Tina. And, you know, Tina, of course, is so excited that she can talk now. But then she's like, alright, well, I'm going to go to this party with my boyfriend. And I'm like, really? You hear this little girl speak for the first time in a very long time, and now you're just going to go to a party with your boyfriend? Really? I mean, I got to admit, that was kind of it was a bitch move, you know? So, I mean, even though it's my least favorite film in the franchise, I still enjoy it, and it still has some great moments, but Halloween 5 is my least favorite of the franchise. And now the next film is probably one that I think a lot of people will say is their least favorite, but Halloween Resurrection. Now, I know that there's a lot of things about this movie that, you know, there's a lot of flaws in it, like the whole Buster Rhymes thing, you know, and the whole, you know, putting a sort of a game show inside of Michael's house, but the thing is, this movie came out around the time when, you know, reality TV shows were big. So it doesn't surprise me that they made a movie in the Halloween franchise that is about a reality game show. You know, it doesn't surprise me. I think if they had done it differently, I think it would have been better. I get that Busta Rhymes is supposed to be like the comedic type guy in the film, but, you know, sometimes he kind of annoys me. Also, I was never a fan of him karate chopping Michael Myers at the end. But Busta Rhymes is not, for me, he's not the worst thing in this movie. Also, Tyra Banks, I found her character to be kind of pointless. I honestly think that the only reason why she's there in the movie is so that they can put another famous face on the cover. I think that if they had put anyone else as that character in the movie, if they had any other actor, it would have been the same character. You know, they just wanted to put Tyra Banks in it just to have her as another famous face, in my opinion. But out of all that, I saw this movie in theaters, and I had a lot of fun with it, you know, and there are a lot of great jump scares. There are some jump scares. There's a lot of great creepy moments in it. Also, Michael's mask, I love the way his mask looks. I think this is one movie where they got the mask right. So Halloween Resurrection is my second from last. And I do have a soft spot for it, you know, even though it's one of the most hated movies in the franchise, it's not my least favorite film, and I do have fun with it. And now the next one is another one that people seem to hate on, but I really do enjoy it, Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers. Now this one has always had sort of a soft spot for me because this was the first Halloween movie that I saw. I remember going to my old, you know, rental movie store and seeing this, and when I first saw it, I thought it was the first movie. I don't know if it was because it said Halloween in bold at the bottom, and I didn't see The Curse of Michael Myers underneath the title, but for some reason I thought this was the first movie, and, you know, I ended up watching it, and I do really enjoy it. I think there's some pretty good creepy moments. You know, the mask is great in it. I was never a fan of the whole Thorn storyline, which is why I still preferred the theatrical version over the producer's cut. But, you know, I think that this one is a pretty underrated film in the franchise, and I do enjoy it a lot. Alright. Now, this was kind of difficult for me to pick on which one should be next, but if I had to pick one as my, you know, as the next one, I would have to say, the reason why I'm having this so high on the list, or you might say so, lower is because Michael's not in the film. But don't get me wrong, I still love this movie on its own. Season of the Witch. Now, I know that this movie gets so much hate because Michael's not in it, but honestly, I love this storyline of the movie. I think it's a perfect Halloween storyline. And when I say that, I mean it's a perfect movie. It's a perfect Halloween-based horror film, you know? The whole idea of masks, you know, taking over the kids and killing them or changing them in a way. It's a really creepy idea, and it's a great, you know, October and Halloween, you know, idea for a horror movie. It's a great movie to watch just on Halloween just by itself, you know, not related to the rest of the Halloween films, and it's a great movie on its own, you know, and I love this movie. It's one of my, you know, as you can see, it's one of my favorites in the franchise, and it's definitely one that I just, you know, I've always enjoyed. I was really surprised when I first rented that movie and Michael wasn't in it, but at the same time, I still enjoyed it for what it was. Now we're getting into the last 4 films. And this next one has always been one of my favorite sequels in the series, Halloween H2O. I really do love this one. You know, I love how Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, she makes her return to finally, you know, kill Michael off. Originally, for a long time, I thought this was going to be the last one. And honestly, if they had ended the movie, if they had ended the series with this one, I would have been happy. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that they continued on with Resurrection, and I love that they're doing a new one. And I would always love to see a new Halloween movie. But I'm saying, if they did decide to end the series with H2O, I would have liked it. You know, I've always thought that Jamie Lee Curtis should have been the one to kill Michael off. You know, and I've always enjoyed it. There's always some great moments in this one as well, like that scene right there. And this movie came out back when, you know, Scream was still really, really big, so it sort of has that late 90s horror feeling, but I've always really did enjoy that movie. And like I said, if they had ended this one, if this movie had ended the series, it would have been cool, but I also love that they're continuing on with the series. Alright, now the next one, which is my second favorite sequel, Halloween 2. Everybody talks about this movie, and everybody seems to love it. It's a lot of people's favorite sequel, and it's one of my favorites as well. I love this movie. I love the hospital setting to it. You know, it's really, really creepy, and, you know, it really gives sort of a, you know, the scenes of Michael walking around. It's just such an eerie feeling. And, of course, the hot tub scene. You know, I think that was probably one of the first really, really gory kills in the Halloween franchise, because, you know, the first one is almost bloodless, and this one is when they kicked up the blood. And I think the hot tub scene is definitely one of the best death scenes in the entire franchise. Also, I love the pumpkin. I just love the look of that one. So Halloween 2 is my second favorite sequel in the series. And also, I really like the Mr. Sandman song at the beginning. Alright, and now, talking about my all-time favorite sequel. It's always been my favorite, Halloween 4. I love this movie. You know, there's so many great moments in it. You know, of course, this introduces Jamie Lloyd's character, you know, Michael's, you know, niece, and it's about him going after her. And there's always so many great moments in this movie, you know. And it also has some of the best performances by Dr. Loomis in the entire series. You know, 4 and 5, I think, have the best moments of, you know, Donald Pleasance in the franchise. But Halloween 4, you know, it's got a really, really great October feel, like the opening scenes with the, you know, with the scarecrow at the beginning, and just the music and everything about this movie I love. The only thing about it that I think is one thing that's kind of a downfall is the mask. I wish the mask looked more like it did on the cover of on the poster, because I love this poster. It's probably my second or third favorite poster in the franchise, next to the first two, or the first 3 Halloween films have my favorite posters, and this is one of my favorite images, if not my favorite image of Michael Myers. But Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, it's always been my favorite sequel, and I think it always will be. And of course, that leads number 1. Of course, I'm sure you guys already knew when I started the movie. It's a classic, you know, it's timeless, the original Halloween. Definitely one of, you know, the best horror films of all time. And it's always been my favorite horror film. This is my favorite one. You know, ever since I saw it back when I was, I think, 8 years old, the first time I watched it, it left such an impact on me. And I don't think that any horror film will ever move me like the original Halloween. So anyway, guys, that is it. That is my ranking of the entire Halloween franchise. Let me know what you guys think about my ranking. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be debating, but like I said, it's my opinion, and like I said before, I'm not saying anything like for Halloween 5 or Resurrection, even though those are my two least favorites, I still love them. I love all the Halloween films in the original franchise, and I had fun just ranking these out. And I think that the last time I ranked these movies, I had them differently. I forget what I ranked them last, but I think over time, sometimes my opinions change, and sometimes they'll be the same, sometimes they'll be different. And I do plan on doing this again next year, and seeing if my ranking has changed. So anyway, guys, thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you guys think about my ranking, and let me know how you would rank the Halloween franchise. Leave me a comment or a video response. I would love to see a video response down below. And yeah, so anyway, guys, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to all your continued support, throughout this really difficult time in my life. Right now, things are sort of at a standstill, but this is sort of the beginning of me coming up and trying to, I guess you'd say, get my life back on track, and I'm trying to be as positive as I can right now. And I'm really excited for October, and I'm excited for everything that goes on. So I'm going to try to be as positive as I can. And anyway, guys, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all next time.